city in terms of city rating and stuff?
Oh, are you capital cities?
Oh, but some of the capitals that would change in that way, or I mean, Prague will get better defences.
No. It's not a capital city. No.
But you can control it. You can effectively win control of that city by taking the different control points that exist in a persistent world section of the game. So throughout the game, there are going to be large sections of land that can actually be controlled by guilds and by factions. So Order or Destruction will control each of those territories, and then individual guilds will actually control what are effectively like neighborhoods within there, and that those will be controlled and defended effectively by guilds.
Will be there any kind of a guild hall, but for whole guild, not just for the leaders, as you said before? That
and at the moment, we're trying to have the guild system really be large scale and community driven on a faction wide basis. We're trying to get away from the idea that super powerful guilds are independent operators in the world, that they rarely interact with other people and so forth. It's the reason that we're trying to kind of encourage the idea of guilds form on a small level, and then they get together on an alliance level, and then the alliances kind of get together on a strategic level in the capital cities, come together with their leadership in one location. We want it to really be a lot more like a legitimate war effort and not like sort of skirmish bands operating.
And so that's why we design the cities with these specific strategic points that you need to go and take before you can get to Karl Franz. So maybe one guild would go off and take the Bright College, another guild would go off and take the Temple Sigma. It's kind of why we put that strategic level in.
So the fight against Karl Franz will be in instance, or
yes.
And you can only capture him or kill him. And then you will be.
You take his hat.
And then you will rescue.
Yes. There will not be a permanent death of Karl Franz. He will be brought back to life by the will of Sigmar, who is unwilling to see his avatar and champion on Earth dead forever.
It's the hammer, the magic hammer.
The magic hammer.
Yeah, you said that your city are growing up, so does that mean that most of the cities at the rating 5 will be attested on that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you say it louder?
You said that capital cities are growing.
Yes.
Yeah. Does that mean that for the war capital cities at the rating 5 will be attested?
The beer does taste better, yeah.
Yes.
I've got 6 cents. It's all about that.
It's a funny question. Did you have one in the back or no?
One here.
Well, he had his hand.
Yes. You said that you killed 4 friends, but on the newsletter also you said you took him to your hometown.
There are different mechanisms in place for dealing with different characters at different times. So there are ways that you can capture some NPCs and ways that you can also kill them.
And there's also trophies as well that you can take from people. So, you might take a skull and offer them, wear that, parade that.
There are 3 cities per site.
Mm-hmm.
Can they all get different ratings?
Yes. All city ratings are... Say again.
How does that happen?
It's going to depend on players from any of the factions, from any of the races, can actually play in any of the areas of the world. And we have what's called influence, which is a geographical measure of what you've done in a specific geographical territory. So if you come to the Imperial starting area and you're a dwarf, you'll actually gain influence in the Imperial starting area. And that influence helps to dictate some of the trickle that goes up to city rating. Then it's also going to come down to the RBR territories in that specific area. So the success or failure of Altdorf is going to be based on the success or failure of players from any of the races within the Imperial territories. And the same holds true for any of the others.
So if one city, one zone, people like that more, then that city can always get level 5.
Hypothetically, I guess if people decided to do it that way.
That city will also be a bigger target, though.
Yes.
Because it has more attractive
But then
stuff.
you get quicker back to level 5 again. Because
That's absolutely possible. I can't tell who's talking.
No, it was more of just a question that popped in my head. It might be a bit early since you haven't even launched yet, but looking at it, you have 3 capital cities in each side. And obviously the game is balanced and the tempo of the game is built on this factor since that's the end game. Expansion packs. Adding just one more capital city to each side Are you afraid that that might muck up the whole experience?
I have the benefit of having nothing to do with expansion packs. It's probably way too premature for us to be discussing expansion packs, but those types of things, in terms of the math under the hood, every major system in the game has been designed with the idea that this is a game with a multi-year lifespan, that it needs to be coherent, that it needs to be consistent in terms of the player experience from day one all the way through the entire, hopefully decade-long lifespan of the project, so that you don't suddenly go, and we've added this, and now everything's broken. So in terms of everything from careers to guilds to the tome and everything else, the math under the hood is actually built looking forward, not back.
And there's plenty more room in the Warhammer IP.
Yeah.
There's loads of room, so...
Halflings.
Okay.
For food.
I have a question. It's rather a technical question. What's the server population cap? Do you know?
Server population cap hasn't been decided yet. That's going to be decided more than 5.
More than 5.
Under 1 million. That's really going to be the sort of thing where we need to check during stress tests. We have teams of engineers that are actually working very heavily on performance. Obviously, our experience with Camelot taught us that client performance and having the ability to have a large number of avatars on the screen simultaneously is critical to the performance and enjoyability of the product. And so one of the things that we're doing is trying to make sure that we put things in place that guarantee a consistent level of performance for players, and that server population is going to be one of those things that helps us to sort of manage that.
Do you have weather effects?
Do we have
Weather effects.
Weather effects? Yes, but they don't actually have an impact on the world. So when it's raining, you don't get the flu.
No flying mouse.
No flying.
No flying mouse.
Actually, Karl Franz has one, but you can't play Karl Franz.
I had one more question about instancing during sieges.
Okay.
How it will be technically done. I mean, for example, there's 200 defenders, and Jeff Howard that they will be divided in groups, like layers of the same city. But how technically will it be?
We have what's called the scenario lobby that enables players to decide what scenario they want to join with what other players.
So generally, siege will be scenario based.
Not entirely, but there will be a significant portion of it that is scenario based, largely because we want to make sure that there's an opportunity for underpopulated realms to successfully defend themselves. That is one of the things that no matter what you do from a design standpoint, you have to assume that there is always going to be an underpopulated realm. And so you build things with that idea in mind, and you try and make sure that it's not detrimental to them in a very broad sense.
It also allows us to do some narrative stuff, so defend this gate, take this tower, fire the cannons. And it also allows players to have repeatability. So they sack the city, they do scenario A, and they go, oh, well, this time I'm going to do scenario B.
So, will we be able to enter every and all buildings in the capital, or just a small part of that?
Will you be able to enter all of the buildings, or just a small percentage? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
It's going to depend on the
Where will the buildings be just like in all of the
It will depend on the rating of the city. A higher rated city, you'll have more things that you can enter. Lower rated city, there will be the same kind of access that is gated for friendly players. It will also gate you. So the proverbial pile of trash that makes it impossible to go down the alleyway, you won't be able to go down that alleyway either.
So it's worth waiting until they're at higher ratings before you go in.
How long will it generally take to reach the highest level of the city?
That's going to depend, obviously, on specific servers, specific realms, and so forth at any one time. But we don't want it to be the type of thing that takes a week and then you're at level 5. We want that to be a significant achievement that takes a relatively substantial amount of time. Obviously, the servers on launch day, or at this point, a few days prior to launch day, when collector edition players get in, the servers are going to be in a unique sort of neutral state, where zone control will happen kind of for the first time. There will actually be neutral territories briefly, and that type of thing. So there will be basically only one period where you ever actually see a city that's truly, starting from zero. And in terms of how long it'll take from that point to get up to 5, our expectation is that it will take a relatively significant amount of time, probably months, not weeks. But from there, hopefully, defenders will be able to prevent their city from going from rank 5 all the way down to rank 1. after every attack.
That was kind of the follow-up question. If it takes too much